welcome EJ Dickson.
I'm so excited.
I'm so
I can't even tell you how excited. It's a dream.
And welcome Julia Moshy.
Thank you for having me.
So welcome.
Did I do it?
You're in. This is Robin. Robin, I love your shirt.
Wait, so I don't do Zoom because my company is insane. And so I've been in an office and we haven't been work from home.
Okay.
So this is new to me.
Welcome.
How do I get to see? Is there a way to see everybody?
Yeah.
Is there a way to see everyone all at once?
View and then
switch to gallery
click it and switch it to gallery. Yeah. This is
Hi, Julia.
EJ.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Robin. Nice to meet you.
Oh my God, what a blast, you guys. I love when anybody waves on Zoom because I'm like, yes, you can see us, patreon.com/howcome, but most of you guys are just in your ears. And oh boy, are you lucky.
I look like I'm in a spaceship.
Why? Oh, like in the
Just
office?
Like weird shit behind me. I am in my friend's office beneath his restaurant because we did a Friendsgiving, like outdoor at his restaurant. And I was like, it wasn't over. So I was like, can I go downstairs in the office and then rejoin after? I gotta like work this angle though.
Hold on. Resituate the light.
I need to fix it.
Yeah, I'm in a condo in Oregon.
Oh, you are still?
Yeah, we're quarantining so we can go back with Ben's parents.
Oh, wow.
How's he doing?
Is that your little baby?
Oh, can you hear him?
Yeah. Hi, Saul.
Saul, Remy says hi.
Cute.
Oh, you want to say hi? Yeah, very, 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 very quickly. I'm sorry.
Oh my God. Hi, Saul. How are you?
Oh.
How was your day?
Well, where's Robin?
Robin's up there.
How do you know that her name is Robin?
Where's Tay?
Oh, because she looks like, you look like his friend's mom. It's fine.
I do?
Okay, yeah,
That's
a little
cute.
bit. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Have a great night.
Let me know if the sound is like getting in the way and I'll try to relocate.
No, it's okay. Oh, wait. Could he hear me? He couldn't hear me.
No, I couldn't hear you at all.
Okay.
Can you hear the people that are outside this room?
No. Can you guys hear the construction that's going on in here? Okay, great.
It's never a dull moment, huh?
Fantastic. So pumped. We're going to have a very exciting episode today. So we're talking to EJ and Julia. And EJ, I'm going to start with one of your articles. We could talk about many of these articles, and if you guys like any of these topics, we're going to link them. EJ's written about why sexual abuse survivors are getting sucked into QAnon, not voting, not coming, which is about meeting the dominatrixes who got their submissives to vote blue. And then there's an article about TikTok stars who are being turned into deep fake porn stars without their consent. You can look into any of these articles. We can talk about any of these articles over the course of this, but I want to start with EJ's most recent, most random article, which is an oral history of Ratatouille, the musical.
Yes.
Basically, I know we talk about TikTok so much on this podcast, but it's just such like an indication of a cultural shift. And one of those things is Ratatouille, the musical on TikTok. So EJ, will you tell us about your investigation on this phenomenon?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I spend like an embarrassing amount of time on TikTok for a 30-year-old woman.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. Yes, as I'm sure you do too. And I just saw months ago, there was this crazy, like weird audio that was going viral that was like kind of a parody of a Christian praise song featuring Remy, the rat from Ratatouille.
Oh, wait, that's a real song?
Yeah. So Remy, the Ratatouille, the rat of all our dreams. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was going viral on TikTok. And then I saw that all of these teens were like building on it and turning it into like a full-blown musical. Like they're writing like legit a 2.5-hour musical.
Mm-hmm.
On TikTok.
There's costume design. There's like people writing choreography. Like I've been learning some of the choreography because I feel like it's my duty with my name.
Yeah, I saw your TikTok. That was excellent. Yeah, it's there's like lighting, there's set design.
Mm-hmm.
It's like full on, and they're all kind of just like waiting to get sued by Disney.
Or like bought up by Disney because a lot of them are pushing for it to become a real musical. And so that's where like I see all this happening and I'm like, Gen Z is so much more about like togetherness and creating stuff than like individualism. And like It's really interesting. And like, Julia, this does apply to you. So she's like, I've never heard of the Ratatouille musical at all.
I'm actually not on TikTok at all. So it's just so
Okay.
over my head. I'm sorry.
But like, there is this like generational shift in so many ways. And like, one of the things that I've envied about the kids is like how open they can be about who they are, like how themselves they can be, whether that's like dancing or like talking about like communism or whatever. Like they are 100% themselves, which is very different from millennials, which we all are, where I feel like we had to be given permission to do stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Julia, you're like 4 years younger than me. Not that much
Yeah,
younger
I'm
in the
28.
grand scheme of things now, but like younger from when we were growing up. And I feel like you and your group of friends were like the first people on the internet who were just being like, this is us. This is our lifestyle. These are our bodies and we're being hot. And I don't remember whether it was my sister or one of her friends who showed me, but I was like, who are these people? And who gave them the permission to be in their bathing suits in Mykonos or like on like what is this? And like, yeah, who gave you the permission?
Yeah. So even though I'm not on TikTok, I do have to say that I think there's like this like crazy generational divide between millennials and Gen Z.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I know the big names of the TikTokers. I know that there's Addison Rae and this girl Charlie. Okay,
Mhm.
this is what I know.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that they're like very regular looking girls. Like I think they're like super
I mean,
normal
they're
looking in my.
stunning.
Yeah,
They're
hot.
stunning. They're stunning. But I wouldn't say that there's anything that differentiates them from any other girl, at least from what I've seen. And then I think that when you look kind of like at Instagram culture, Instagram was all about like depicting this like idealistic like life that was
Mhm.
unattainable or just glorious in like some way.
Yeah.
And so everything you depicted on Instagram was always like really curated. And from what I understand for the TikTok community, like we're in a totally different, obviously like COVID 2020, this whole situation has just made everyone more open about like their political views. And the way I was brought up was that you don't talk about who you're voting for. You don't talk about religion and politics. Those are like not dinner table conversation type things. And those are also things that you keep off of your social.
Mhm.
And then things have like now started to transition. And I think that that's been really interesting, but I still find that like my generation in terms of social media is very still kind of trying to keep within that idealistic, glorious, like
Facade.
this facade. And then
Yeah.
the new generation is keeping it real, which I really respect and would like to get behind. I also just think that like Gen Z got it right. Like we maybe started it, but they perfected it.
But so you were raised, don't talk about politics, don't talk about that stuff. But what about don't like be openly sexy?
I mean, I have a lot of friends whose families maybe didn't necessarily respect kind of like the Instagram culture and being sexy on Instagram and kind of like building your following that way. I have a mother who is blind to the internet. So whatever I did, I knew that like my family wasn't seeing and like this was my world. So for me, I felt like this was my safe space, even though it was very public. Like that's how I felt about it. And I kind of appreciated that I could show like my lifestyle and like who I was and be sexy and like get that validation and attention. And I have to say like, while that was empowering in some ways, it was also toxic.
Okay.
So I think like everything else, like Instagram has always had its give and take.
Totally. Growing up in the city in general, like EJ and I, we grew up together. We went through a lot of the same high school experiences. Like, just like a lot of the things that we went through are different than things that are in the middle of the country. Like, you didn't see everyone going to clubs. Like, those were things that you might either do as a New York City kid or you saw people going out, and that was just like part of the culture. And like there was this like pressure to grow up faster and be like chicer and richer and hotter. I just remember, like, I know somebody who had a threesome with Jared Leto.
I think I know a lot of people that have done that.
Like
I don't know anyone who's done that.
You don't know anyone who's done that?
I don't know anyone who's done a threesome. I wish I knew someone.
Him and John Mayer apparently are out there having threesomes like frequently. So
yeah,
just a little insight.
What I do know is I know like 3 people who have ghosted John Mayer.
Nice.
Because he's apparently like a very aggressive texter.
Super attainable, more than you would think.
Yeah, more than you would think.
But like a very like that's a weird, like I feel like in normal towns, like the cool thing to do is date a college guy, which is still like kind of gross. Like I hope we're getting out of that culture and into one where like people are dating people their age. But like there's socialite culture in New York City that you're looking at and comparing yourself to. And it's like, are you sexually as active as the people that you're seeing and as the people that are aspirational?
I felt like I was like less sexual than most people because I didn't feel like I had to like sell myself. I grew up in it. I like grew up going out. I was in clubs when I was like very young. So I didn't feel like I owed anyone anything, but I've met and spent time with the girls who I feel like are like, to get ahead in New York City, you have to spend your time with like certain people and like, you know, I think that's a culture here, but I think growing up here, I don't know, I experienced it differently.
I think a lot about how lucky I feel in lots of ways that we didn't grow up in the age of Snapchat and Instagram. Because I think it would have just absolutely like wrecked my shit. Like I would have been just made a complete and utter fool of myself. And I think your point, like to your point about TikTok sort of giving young women permission to sort of be empowered and openly sexual, like I agree, it's kind of a double-edged sword because there's definitely like a lot more pressure on girls who are growing up now to sort of, you know, compete in the social media and like the sexualized social media economy. Yeah. Like everybody sort of has a brand, like everybody who's 14 has a sort of like brand as the sex icon now on the internet. And that's not something that existed like when we were growing up. Like as a teenager, like in New York, like that wasn't a thing. Like everybody like everybody knew who was the sluttiest. Everybody knew who went out. Everybody knew who partied, but like it wasn't like there was no platform for anybody to sort of like develop their own brand.
Yeah.
I remember in 8th grade, my girlfriend and I got really frisky one night and took all these photos on Photo Booth and then posted them on MySpace.
Yeah.
And they were like in our Abercrombie and Fitch like tank tops and like boy shorts with like sunglasses in my childhood bedroom. And I went into school on Monday and it was like, what did she do? Like that was like the sluttiest move of all time. Like so bad. I was able to take those pictures down after like, I don't know what I was thinking, first of all, like what the hell that was, but like clearly we were trying to get like the boys that we liked, we wanted their attention, whatever. We clearly got it. But going into school, the reaction, it was like one of those like scenes in a movie where you're walking down the hall and like
everybody's head is turning
at you. And I was like, okay, clearly I did something wrong. That being said, I was able to go home at the end of the day and take those photos down, and you couldn't look for them on the internet. You would never find them at this point. But fast forward 10 years, anything you put out there, you have to know is like, that's there, that's done. Like you click post, you click send, that's it. Like it's out there.
And those still
for me,
are
like,
on the internet somewhere, because I've found my friends' old MySpace pages and
if you
everything.
Can find them for me.
Yeah, no, everything is out there. But like it must have been
to see that.
like a mixed feeling too, because it's like, okay, I can take those down. What a relief, but also like what a rush. Like maybe I'd like to do this again.
For sure. It was a whole series of emotions. I definitely got the attention of the guy that I wanted to get. And, you know, and then I got shamed by the girls or whoever else that I got shamed by, but then they were gone. And then we moved on from that. And then it was like, it was never to be seen again. And as much as I like trace that old laptop and try to like find those photos, they were just gone.
But those weren't like full nudes. They were just like,
they weren't nudes, but they were scandalous
shots.
For sure. Yeah.
But I remember, and EJ, like we've talked about this when we were younger, there was a scandal that happened in one of the schools around us where a girl had taken photos. Actually, several scandals. There was a photo scandal.
Yes.
Is this girl?
I'm going to bleep that, but yes. There were several scandals of young ladies, 8th grade, taking videos of themselves, either making full-on pornos, pleasuring themselves, or just taking nudes that they wanted to send to an older guy or whatever. And in both of these situations, the nudes got not only leaked, but like disseminated around the entire city.
I remember watching it with my mom.
You didn't.
I watched it because my mom didn't believe that it happened. She was like, she was like, no, like you have to be kidding me. And one of my friends was over and we pulled it up on screen just to prove it to her. And she was just like, oh, okay. She was less shocked than I was.
Where's she from?
She's from Long Island, so they go hard in Long Island apparently.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think about Bleeper Girl all the time because what I think about most is just how quickly everybody's reaction was to be like completely turned against this girl. Yeah. And how just that wouldn't happen today at all.
No, she would be so supported today.
She would have an OnlyFans and she'd be making a fuck ton of money right now.
Well, what's interesting is, so she was friends with a friend of mine. And so, and they went to a different school. But
wait, tell me more about me. Like, why don't I know her? Because I didn't know her, but I knew everything. Like, obviously, I knew everything about the situation.
She was a year below me. I met her at a loft party, and it was like a week after the movies came out. And she was like passed the fuck out in the hallway. And I like went over to her and I was like, are you who I think you are? And she was like, I am. And I was like, wow. Like I was like starstruck.
Fuck. I mean, I remember hearing about it, but like at that point in my life, I was like so prude and like, I wouldn't watch it.
You were like a little baby.
You're only 2 years older than me.
Right? I'm, I think 4 years older than you.
How old are you?
Aren't you in Charlotte's grade?
No, I'm older than Charlotte. I'm 28. I graduated high school 2010.
Oh, I graduated high school 2007. 3 years.
Oh, okay.
No, so what I remember about Bleep Girl is the week after the videos went out, it was so fucking fast. Everyone saw it. And then there was like the same situation that you describe about the lunchroom. Apparently when she went into the lunchroom, there was like an uproar of like, oh my God, she's here. And she leaned the fuck in apparently and started giving out autographs. Do you remember that, EJ?
Yep. She's
For those not on Patreon, one of the videos she masturbated with a household object, and so people bought said household object and brought it into school, and she signed them.
She signed bleepers.
Yeah.
Let's
fucking go.
Yeah.
She was iconic.
Good for her.
Yeah.
That is iconic. I didn't know that part of the story because I couldn't tell you her name. I didn't know anything about her. I actually think that like I heard about it but wouldn't watch. But I heard the story. I knew everything about it. And also like technology just wasn't there that it was like so easy to really send around. Like you had to know someone who had it.
I never had it on my computer. I watched it at his friend's house. And then I was like, I don't ever want this because I don't ever want to send it to anybody else. But what I thought was crazy too was she had to go, I don't know about the punishment of the guy who ended up sending it out that she sent it to, but she had to watch them, at least one of them, with her parents and the dean.
Yep.
Did she get in trouble with the school?
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
For sure.
Which like,
And
yeah,
like,
if that
what do you
happened
think
today,
that would have been? Yeah, exactly. Today, that would have been just a totally, like, that's your prerogative.
When you talk to kids, because like for my job, like I talk to the teens all the time. Like not to brag or anything, but like
I'm talking to Gen Z. I'm getting the pulse.
I talk to Gen Z all the time, and like there's something like I'm sorry.
I will bleep it. It's okay.
Something like it happens every day now. Like it's like I remember even bringing it up like during a couple interviews because I was doing like some like sexting related story, and they were just so like they were just so nonplussed, like they didn't care, you know, like it was like whatever. It just happens all the time, like in schools constantly.
Because it's like the next person is going to come along and then they'll forget about your nudes.
Well, because everybody takes nudes. It's just a non-issue. Like everybody takes nudes, everybody sends nudes. Your nudes always end up on Snapchat. Like they end up on Discord, and it's just like, it's a non-issue. It almost, it doesn't even, it's not stigmatized anymore to the extent that it was when we were growing up.
I mean, how popular is OnlyFans right now? How regular?
It's getting more regular. So they just don't give a fuck. Is that
in terms of like being sexual on social media?
Yeah.
No, it's an expectation.
Yeah.
It's not stigmatized at all. It's expected that they're going to behave in a performatively sexualized ways on social media.
Okay, so performatively, yes, but do they actually know what they're doing? Like, are they learning about sex? Are they having good sex?
Do I think that Gen Z is having good sex? Well, I mean, did you have good sex when you were 16?
No.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't think it's really possible to have good sex when you're 16.
But I read an article that was like, they're having less sex, but like with each other, but learning to masturbate more.
Yeah, I don't know. Those articles come out every once in a while, like these scare articles in the Atlantic or something, like, oh my God, the youngs are not having sex, like whatever shall we do? And I always sort of take it with a grain of salt, because I feel like, why is that a problem?
Right. Why is that a scare article? Like,
yeah. Why is that an issue? People can have sex as often or as, not often as they want. And B, it's not that they're having less sex. They're just probably, they're using the internet more to connect with each other. So they can afford to be like a little bit more discriminating, I think. Where was I going with that? But yeah, I mean, I think that like Gen Z is having good sex. I mean, you see on TikTok, right? Like there's a lot of, or at least on the For You page that I get served, like I see a lot of like 17-year-olds sort of owning like, there's a lot of like instructional, like here's the clit content.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you see that?
Yeah.
Like, here's how you rub a clit, like, and here's how you don't rub a clit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like 17-year-old boys and girls like sharing this stuff. So I think that there's a conversation going on that's more centered on female pleasure. That definitely wasn't around when we were younger, but I don't know if they're necessarily like having better sex. I don't think it's possible to have good sex when you're 16, 17. That's not a time for orgasms, like for sure. That's a time to just like be in a basement under a blanket and like not know what the fuck you're doing.
None of us were in basements. We were in New York City.
Well, I don't know about you, but my high school boyfriend had a lavish country house. And we had sex in his basement all the time.
Wow. I didn't have a high school boyfriend. I was like jealous. Like I feel like I was having a lot of performative sex, or a lot of performative like public makeouts, and
like, what do you mean?
Getting felt up on the bus by two people, and like that's like not real that's like experimenting, but it's not like having a boyfriend and like actually like getting to know each other sexually.
There was a period in high school where like I would hear stories about me that were like insane and like very not true. Like I was like a fucking weirdo in high school, like straight up, and just like a disaffected, like slutty seeming weirdo. But and I would hear stories like, oh, like she had like a foursome in the bathroom with like,
I never heard that.
Yeah, it was like a weird, she had a foursome in the bathroom with like my gay best friend and like my two other gay best friends, because all my friends were obviously gay because I was a theater kid. And I mean, I wasn't doing that shit. Like I definitely like was doing a lot less than people thought. But
people thought cast parties were like orgies.
Did they?
Yeah.
Well, they kind of were. That wasn't totally wrong.
But it was like, it was not as bad as like the swim team rumors. Like the Guambos were like doing ridiculous. Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
Would be, like, senior girls hooking up with freshman boys.
Vaguely.
Like,
I vaguely remember that
had
the swim team.
no rules. It was very bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a specific girl in our grade that there were a lot of rumors about. And again, it was like this kind of thing where like it just wouldn't be a big deal today. It was like, oh, she got oral sex from like a junior when she was a freshman, or like she was in 8th grade, and it's like, so like who the fuck cares?
Yeah, but But so it's like flipped. There's stuff now that people would be like, who fucking cares if she leaked her nudes or whatever? But then I think the way that like hot or older seniors would be like, ooh, the hot incoming freshman, like that's gross. Like I think that's something that Gen Z wouldn't deal with. Like I've seen TikToks of people being like the creepy senior coming over and it's like, hey, are you Rebecca's younger sister? Yeah, this is Rebecca's younger sister. Hey, you know, like, and they like make fun of that culture instead of being like, oh, you want the senior guy.
Yeah, I'm sure that dynamic to some extent still exists. I mean, people are definitely like, they're more politically aware. So they're more engaged with the ideas of like date rape culture. And, you know, how maybe making lists about, you know, the hottest incoming freshman class girls and rating them on their attributes like we had in high school. Like,
what did I win, EJ?
I wasn't cool enough to like know the intricacies of it. I know
like,
you would
I
know.
remember.
I won butts 2 years in a row.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome. Good for you.
Thank you.
But when you were young, like, and you found that out about yourself and that people viewed you in that way, like, what did you think of it? Did you think it was problematic?
No, at the time I was like, amazing. Looking back on it, I'm like, oh, I was like over sexualized before I was even ready for that.
Wait, but that's really interesting because were you a virgin in high school?
I was like the last virgin standing at
I was
at 16.
Too. Oh, okay. So no, I lost my virginity after my senior prom.
Wow.
So I remember going down to the swim team locker rooms and there was like graffiti all over the wall and someone had written Julia Moshy looks like, and it was a porn star's name and I can't remember who it was, but it was some porn star and I didn't know who it was. So I went upstairs and I did my research and I found out that it was a porn star and I cried for so long.
Aww.
Because I was such a virgin. I just was such a virgin. Like,
oh, like you had, yeah.
I was such a prude. And it, like, for me, like to have people that were like looking at me or thinking about me that way. I also came from Catholic school and wore purity ring for like most of high school. Like I was just kind of like, yeah, it was that type, unexpected. But it
yeah.
was like,
well, we also didn't have many of those.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, I don't know. I think like growing up in Brooklyn, and then like being exposed, like going to private school, but growing up in Brooklyn, living in Brooklyn, having all my friends be from the city, I had two different dynamics going on. So I had something that really brought me down to earth and like that Brooklyn side of me, and having gone to Catholic school and going to church every Sunday, like I was very much that type of girl. And then transitioning into going to school with boys, even like period, like that was shell shocking for me. That was crazy. And then
Did you only go to school with boys in like high school?
No, at 5th grade, then I was with boys. But even still, like I didn't like it. Like I was just like, I like being around girls. Like I'm comfortable. Like I don't like flirting. I don't really understand this. I had an interesting family dynamic where my dad wasn't around. So men in general to me was tough. Like that was just a tough topic. So then being sexualized for the first time, I just felt violated. Like so, and it was written on a wall in Sharpie, and like I was just like, this is there. Like when are they ever going to paint over this? Like there's graffiti everywhere. Like it's not going anywhere. And I felt so degraded and disgusting. So like for me, when guys were doing that to me, I crawled into my shell. But I saw the way my friends reacted, and I so tried to be like them and react the same way and like flirt back and like do all this, but it wasn't me. Like it just wasn't. And I definitely think I'm like a special type. Like I don't think most New York City high school girls like acted like that, but I think having the balance of,
I think a lot of them would have, but a lot of them also like you wanted to do what everyone was doing. So whether like you say the word prude, but it's like maybe it's just like a little slow, maybe just like not ready yet. Like I used to think of myself as prude in some ways and slutty in some ways, and I try to now not like categorize it because it's like you're just kind of doing what you're doing in the moment. But like the same way that you're like, oh yeah, like I don't like totally being sexualized that way. Like yeah, it's nice when people tell you you've got a nice butt, but then you do think about in every sexual encounter, like, do they think it's nice right now? Do they think the way I smell is nice? Are they going to tell the rest of the school that I smell in a certain way? Are they going to tell them that I'm loose? Are they going to tell, you know, like all these different things that like this information traveled really quickly, like even
Yeah.
without the internet.
And I think being like kind of like on the side of having not experienced much, I actually heard a lot of what was going on from the people who were experiencing things, and I was afraid to get categorized or get like judged that way. Like I was just I was nervous. So like everything I was hearing was like affecting me directly. So I was protecting myself from that constantly because I always felt like I was like on the defense. Like, you know, it was tough. Like it's like no matter what you do, no matter how you play it, there's an upside and a downside, and you're winning and losing constantly.
Yeah, I feel like it took me actually having like a healthy sex life and a healthy like relationship with myself for me to not see being sexualized as a compliment. Because like
Right.
when you were telling that story, Julia, like about, you know, how the graffiti like being compared to a porn star and how like you immediately were filled with shame. I was like, when I was 15, like I would have been so flattered by that. Like that I would have been like, wow, like they think I'm pretty, because I was just wildly insecure and just uncomfortable with myself. And I think we also came of age at a time when there's this book, Female Chauvinist Pigs by Ariel Levy. Yeah, and I was rereading it for a story I'm working on, where basically like the 2000s to like the 2010s were like the rise of raunch culture. So women were like, you know, saw self-objectification as like a vehicle to empowerment. We sort of came of age during that time.
Yeah.
I feel like, and like we're being compared to a porn star, or like saying you had the best butt in the grade. Like it was
DSL.
sort of,
Remember, DSL was a thing that you wanted. Dick sucking lips. Initially, I was like, I've got Optimum Online, and then I got roasted.
Yeah, I remember the first time someone said I had DSL. It was like God descended from a cloud. I was so flattered. Which is crazy, but like that's how I feel like that was the milieu that we grew up in, where we were just taught to view ourselves entirely as sexual objects.
Do you remember what FTP stood for at our school?
Oh my God, no. What did it
we
stand
know
for?
FTP now is fuck the police, but FTP when I was in 9th grade was fuck that pussy.
Where did that come from?
Juniors when we were fresh. I still think of them as juniors when we were freshmen.
Even though they're like 35 now.
Yeah, and have kids.
Did it come from like a specific? Like,
no, they would just like chant it during basketball games. They'd be like FTP, FTP. Like it was just like out there.
That's smart. Wow. And I'm sure that none of the administrators stopped them from doing that.
No. But did they stop us when our skirts were just a wee too short, or we were wearing spaghetti straps?
Absolutely.
Oh, you fucking bet.
I remember one of my favorite teachers asked me where the rest of my skirt went. And I thought it was so funny.
I had been asked that question. I was also very tall. So like whatever skirt I wore just seemed too short to them. Like it didn't matter what I did. And I also have to say, I remember the first time I was told I had DSLs, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck that means. And then someone told me, and I went to the bathroom and stared at myself for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
so long.
That is something that's like still very like TikTok is pushing people to stare at themselves a lot, because there are a lot of these trends that like you're forced to look at how symmetrical your face is, or like what are the other, like I've left TikTok sometimes being like, I'm so ugly.
TikTok is not a safe place for me. I will not indulge. I just not going there. I think I've been super affected by Instagram, and it's not for me.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm just not willing to make the plunge, I guess.
Yeah.
They're very young and very beautiful. It's not a great place for body image at all.
And they're so smart and talented too. Like I'm not just jealous of their beauty. Like I'm jealous of their talent and their wit and like their ability to be themselves.
Yeah.
I was going to say, even though like, you know, it's kind of the same thing with Instagram culture where like seemingly we all have our lives together. Like when I do indulge in a TikTok moment, like it seems to me that they're doing a lot better than I was at their age. Is that accurate, or is that just the same thing? It's just
maybe not. Yeah. We don't know. I think everyone's always like, have you ever seen Midnight in Paris where they're talking
Mhm.
about like everybody always thinks that the generation before is like so much better and that they could wish they could go back, but it's like this like fake nostalgia for a time that like you never had.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
how I feel about Gen Z.
I mean, I don't want to be them.
like you want to be them.
Yeah, I want to be Gen Z. Yeah, I mean, the thing about TikTok in particular as a platform is the algorithm is like, it's very hard to tell like what's actually out there because the algorithm exclusively serves you
Is so
content.
tailored to you.
Yeah, it's so tailored to you and it's so specific to the type of content that you engage with. So like it's hard to know like the full breadth of the experience.
Of like what's going on. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
people on TikTok who have no idea about Ratatouille. Like they're
I
just
mean,
like,
I
I'm
hate
not
to think about it, but
I'm not in that part of TikTok. I'm not in Draco Talk, but I am.
I know Draco Talk because of you.
You do.
Yeah,
I
but
love
only
Draco
because of you like putting it on Instagram because I'm just
because I'm
not in
horny.
it.
And I think that's really nice that they can express their horniness in that way.
is Draco Talk just them being horny for Draco?
Yeah, and also like Cedric and maybe the Weasleys, like anybody in Harry Potter that they can make a scintillating POV with.
What about Dan Radcliffe himself?
Sometimes. But I don't think I get that way because I don't find him attractive.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, so we often ask about first time coming stories.
Do I remember my first orgasm?
Mm-hmm.
Shamefully, yeah.
Yes.
When I was in 8th grade, we took a trip downtown to Christopher Street, which was like a big deal if you live
Mm-hmm.
on like York Avenue on the Upper East Side. To go to like take the subway when you're 13, like down to the West Village. And we went to a sex toy store and we bought a bunch of like $10 vibrators, just like the
Cool.
cheapest shit imaginable. And I think mine was called the Snow Leopard, and I think it was leopard print. And I feel like it broke down like within 2 weeks. I want to say
battery operated.
Yeah, it was trash. And my friends all got vibrators too, and we went home and we used it. And I was very fortunate in that it was like instantaneous for me. Like, but I was also like, holy shit, what the fuck did I just do? You know, like I thought I was like broken in a way because nobody had explained like
what the point was.
Yeah, I sort of knew intellectually like, oh, this is supposed to feel good, but I didn't know like what I don't think anybody had really explained to me like what a woman's orgasm like was. Like that it was supposed to like hit a peak. And it's hard to explain, but like I thought that I was like broken or like there was something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And then I got over that very quickly and just kept doing it and kept doing it. And then my mom found it in a shoebox, and it was like one of like 3 vibrators that I bought in high school that she like ended up finding immediately. And I remember her yelling at me while like waving it over my head like Hitler or something. And that was humiliating. But yeah, that was the first time, and it was revelatory for sure.
Unreal. I love that. And then did you ever try with your hands once the thing broke down?
That's an interesting question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I tried like every which way under the sun. Like once it started, like I just like couldn't.
Floodgates.
Yeah, like the floodgates were open. Like why stop? You know, when you figured it out, like why would you stop? There's no reason to.
I know that Julia, you were not sexually active with other people, but were you active by yourself? Were you coming? Do you remember the first time you ever did that?
In high school?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember the first time I came, like for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I was in college and I sent my boyfriend a video, like, because I like porn a lot. I mean, I like porn. All my friends were talking about fucking, so I was watching a lot of porn.
Okay.
And I fantasized about all this stuff. So when I got to college and I had this boyfriend, I sent him a video and I was like, this is what I want you to do. And then he did it. And that was the first time I came. that being
Oh
said,
my God.
yeah, I mean, it was
That's
great.
so
And
cute.
yeah, it was cute, and it was like he was super sexual. He was very experienced, and
Mm-hmm.
I had sex before him, but it
Mhm.
wasn't like it was like virgin sex, like same
Yeah.
guy, nothing interesting,
No
very
masturbation.
sweet. Yeah, there wasn't like,
Is
you know,
that
it
because
was.
of the Catholic growing up, or just like
No, I think I just like, for me, like my first time having sex, it had to be really special, and it was so special. It was with like the
for
guy
sure?
who I was
Oh,
dating
I didn't
throughout
mean
high
about
school. Like,
sex. I
no,
just meant
no,
with masturbating.
oh no, I masturbated all the time. I just didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Like, I had no idea, and I couldn't make
Okay.
myself come.
Okay.
I couldn't do it. I actually
Okay.
still have a really hard time making myself come. A
Is-
really hard time.
That's not.
And I've tried your tricks, Remy.
It's not uncommon, but and it's like okay too. Like
I have all of your toys that I have
amazing.
everything, and it's still really hard for me. Like,
Oh,
I
but
don't
I
know how
love.
deep we can get, but when
You
I'm
can get
like about to get there,
Mm-hmm.
I can't like keep it there. Like, if I'm using a vibrator, I can't keep it there. Like, I'll like lose control and I like drop it.
Interesting, because your hand can't keep it there, or
Because
like
I'm just like overexcited, and like maybe I get into like a mental space where I'm like, oh my God, it's about to happen. And then I put pressure on myself and it stops.
I've gotten a lot of messages like this lately. Robin's like, answer this.
Interesting. Yeah, please.
Yeah, no, it's like, first of all, if your body is being like stop, then stop. Like, never push yourself past the point of being
not
comfortable.
stop.
Okay.
It's definitely not stop. Stop
Right.
is not the response.
I don't think that's what's happening with you. I think it's just like you're like excited and you're like a little stressed about what may happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So-
I'm like, in my head, I'm a Gemini, but I'm also a very stressed person. So I'm constantly in my head. I'm an overthinker, like in every sense of that word.
I think a lot of people are that way. And like it's tough to be like, don't think about it. But what really helps me is like, instead of trying to think of like, ugh, this isn't happening. Ugh, it's think about the things that you are enjoying. Try to like focus on like real like touch and sensations and
Like
stuff.
meditate in a way.
Kind of. Did you
That's
guys?
what I do.
Okay, so I was gonna say you have like a whole mental health podcast that we haven't even talked about. But have you done a meditation episode?
So I haven't. It's not a podcast yet. It's all on Instagram. It's all like stories and
Okay.
Because
And
I'm an overthinker and I can't get there.
Okay. Oh, cute. Okay. No, because I remember you were going to launch a while ago.
Like over a year ago, and it's just solely been an Instagram at this point. Like, I'm very open on it. I'll record myself. I'll do whatever. But transitioning into a podcast and like interviewing people is something that's like really stressed me out. And I haven't done it. I went into
it's stressful.
It's scary. It's definitely scary, but
especially like giving people advice on like their mental health when it's like.
And I'm super open to that because I am really good at it. I do have a lot of personal experience. Like I did go through a lot as a kid and throughout my life, and I've overcome so much that I'm very confident to speak on that, and I feel comfortable doing that. But for whatever reason, like, I think just taking that step into a business and like having, I don't know, committing, I guess, is a little difficult for me. So I can that kind of translates into almost every aspect of in some way, unfortunately. And masturbating is one of them.
You also like, I feel like you and I have like, and you're younger, so like you haven't maybe found like your forever place yet, but like you've done like a bunch of things, you know. And I had like a very checkered past as well, which I used to think was like a bad thing, but there's a lot of advice out there that it's just like try a bunch of stuff and then you're gonna fall into something that does end up working. Like, so you were in therapy from a young age?
Oh yeah, I was in therapy when I was 2, and I'm still in therapy, and I will never not be in therapy, no matter how okay I feel. I think that everyone should be in it. Everyone. I really believe that.
I do too. And I used to think that was such a New York City thing. And like people used to say that like everyone in New York City is in therapy and like you're all so fucked up and like you all no, whatever. And like I used to look down on therapy because I'm like, oh, this is just something that like we need. And there are a lot of things about New York City life that like I don't really agree with. So then I'm like, maybe I don't even agree with therapy. But now I think therapy is finally getting like its day in the sun.
Normalized. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. Like I make my boyfriend and I do couples therapy because I think that it's just good for us. Doesn't have to be
Mhm.
anything wrong, but I think that like spending an hour a week to have a conversation just about us is something.
Mhm.
I do think it's a New York thing in the sense that like we're constantly on the go and we do have to make time for ourselves.
Mhm.
So New Yorkers really kind of push therapy because they don't make time for themselves otherwise. I've always been in it, so it's something that for me it's not negotiable. Like I have to be in therapy.
EJ, did you do therapy?
Of course I'm in therapy.
Yeah. I like that
Of
answer.
course. I know I mean, well, first of all, I'm in New York too. And second of all, like, I mean, I completely agree. I think therapy should be mandatory for everybody. I think
Mhm.
everybody could benefit from therapy. It never, I understand why some people are averse to the idea of going into a room for 45 minutes and like just unloading all of their shit onto somebody. But I think anybody could benefit from that.
100%. Yeah, and like 2 years
Yeah.
ago, if you had told me like I go to couples therapy with my boyfriend, I would have been so judgmental of that and been like, you shouldn't
Totally.
have been going to therapy unless you're already married and like there's something to salvage or whatever. But now I'm kind of like, okay, like go there first and like see if there's
Absolutely.
something worth still working with.
And what I've noticed is now that I've opened up to telling my friends that like Chris and I will do couples therapy because initially we did it because we were going through a hard time, but then it
Yeah.
was like, no, we're not going to stop just because like things are good. Let's keep this up. Like this is
Mhm.
like maintenance. This is relationship maintenance. And then I
That's a
started
cute
talking to my
idea.
friends about it openly, and they were like, oh, should we look into this? Or, oh, we already do that too. So
Mhm.
like for whatever reason, people were either not talking about it, like shame, but like felt like because they're in therapy, like they're not doing something right in their relationship, or people are gonna think something's wrong. Like, no, that's
Mhm.
not the case. Everything needs to be maintained in every aspect of your life. And I think therapy is a beautiful way to do it. Especially with like you
Totes.
can just be content in the fact that like you're doing it for you and you're not doing it because you have a problem. You're just doing it because it feels good. It
Mhm.
just does.
I think coming is therapy too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just like masturbation. I think I figured it out way before I started like truly masturbating though. Like I know I was touching myself very, very young. Like,
Yeah. No, I always had hands down there. I just never
yeah,
got to
okay.
that like,
So that's
woo.
normal. That's good.
Yeah. 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 No, I was
It
always
was
like,
definitely like lying on my hands at
yeah.
like an early age in my life and like rocking.
I was gonna say to you too, if you don't can't hold your thing in place, lay on it
Mm-hmm.
so that it just like stays
I've
there.
tried
You've tried it?
it.
Ugh, I'm gonna have to
I
come over and
I
watch.
know
No,
you're gonna have
no.
to lend me a helping hand. I don't know. I don't
Um,
know. I can do it. No, listen, it's not like this is not like such a problem. I just think like it definitely happens and it happens plenty, but I don't think there's any like rhyme or reason to it. Like I can't tell you what makes it happen and what doesn't make it happen on any
but is it
given.
easier with your boyfriend still than alone?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I have a really hard time by myself.
That's so
Like
wild.
I'm almost like edging alone,
Mm-hmm.
which
That can be fun though, in a way.
it can
Yeah.
be fun if you get there.
Have you tried a hands-free tour?
No.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that those existed. Was that like a
They
Sibian
do.
machine?
No. Well, a Sibian, but also like makes a wearable vibrator that stays
Yeah, that's
in.
what I was thinking.
That's an
Mm-hmm.
interesting idea. Yeah, no, I don't have any of
Yeah.
those. I have like the or whatever. I have the
No,
like
no, no.
sucking one. I have
Okay.
the honestly the internal ones don't do it for me. Like anything insertion, like I don't need it.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I know that's like
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah.
standard,
That's kind of the
but
thing.
it's really hard to just like keep because my instinct is to kind of like grab whatever's next to me after that. So it's like
Yeah. No. Well, I'll
I
send you
don't
the link for
know.
the toy that we're talking about.
Thanks, girls.
The weird a couple's wearable vibrator that like it's sort of like
Yep.
horseshoe shaped that it
Mm-hmm.
goes like inside you and then it and then there's like another prong. I'm describing this in like the unsexiest way.
It's like a U shape.
Yeah,
So it's like
yeah.
it's like you put it in and it vibrates like here, and then the dick goes past it here.
Interesting.
But you can do it yourself. You can use it yourself, and it's
But you
also
can wear it too. Yeah, exactly. It's
I
nice.
have one I think that looks like that. I'll have to send you a photo and you tell me what I'm doing wrong.
You guys,
Not
if
of
you
my
want to
vagina,
hear
just-
any of the names of those toys, patreon.com/howcome has it without the bleeps. What else was I going to say to you, EJ? Oh, yes. Okay, so a lot of times I'm talking about health class in this, and I don't remember fully. Were we ever taught about pleasure in health class?
I wasn't.
I don't think so.
No, it was just don't have a baby, right?
And I remember there was a day where we had to put a condom on a banana. I do remember that. And I remember and this is also just like a testament to how like fucked up our like sexual education was in general. Like when we were coming of age, there was this one girl in the class who was like the hot girl like in our grade, and she had all of these like very specific questions like, can I get pregnant like if I do a handstand like after the guy comes in me while singing the Star Spangled Banner? And I remember we made fun of her for it after, and it was like, no, like these are like legitimate questions. Like the reason why she's asking these questions is because the teacher isn't addressing
answering them.
Yeah, in class. Like, so I feel bad about that. But
who was it? Don't say their full name, but
TB. She left.
Oh my God. That's so cute that she asked. Well, she had a really old boyfriend. That's why she was asking
Yeah, that's
all
right.
those questions.
Yeah, but we mocked her mercilessly.
She was literally dating a senior then, which we all thought was like so cool. And it's like fucking gross. Like she was like 14.
It was weird as hell.
So essentially this girl came in from LA. She moved. She had really cool rock star parents. Like her parents were in a huge rock band that everyone knows. She comes to New York. She's like thrown off by the fact that like Polly has like ducks in a pond and like this, that. And she comes in 8th grade and is sleeping with seniors like the entire time. This girl ended up being like my best friend in school. I don't know why, but we clicked in some ways, and I kind of like idolized her and lived in some way like through her sexual experiences because they were just so crazy. Anyway, I don't know. It set such a strange tone for me as like a young person experience. I think that also contributed to the way that I reacted to sex, because I was best friends with her, but I also was friends with everyone else. And so I would see what she would do, and then I would hear the way that people would respond.
Reacted to it. Yeah. Wait,
so
if I bleep her name, can I keep this part in?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was interesting because in the ways that I like idolized how she had huge tits. She was so hot, like just so hot. Did not look like an 8th grader, and was like fucking seniors, like left, right, and center, was taking me to parties, like exposed me to kind of like the first real life situations that I had.
Yeah.
So I was enticed, like I was in it. I was enjoying myself, and at the same time I was also getting all of this like background noise from other people, like either judging her or idolizing her as well. And I think that it really like it set a very interesting tone for the way that I decided to handle myself like moving forward.
There's a story I told really, really early on this about like just like how people talk about other people, and it was like one of the girls in our grade, like a guy went down on her and found toilet paper, and EJ like brought it up today and was like, I remember when happened, and like that was fucking 12 years ago or like 15
when you
years ago
it on the podcast. I wouldn't have remembered it if you didn't mention it on the podcast.
But I didn't say her name, and you remembered who it was, you know?
Oh yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Like that fucking sticks with you.
Well, even then I did know how fucked up it was. First of all, because she was a really sweet girl.
And because it was her boyfriend.
And it was her boyfriend, and he was disgusting. And he was disgusting, and he went around like, and she was a beautiful, like, sweet girl, and he was disgusting, and he went around.
He was disgusting.
talking about this saying this horrible thing about like this intimate moment they had, and even then I knew that was wildly fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And
not
she was the
cool.
other last virgin standing with me. And of course she was, because after that happens to you, you don't want to do the next thing, because then what else is going to get said about you? Like, you queef? Like, God forbid the whole school knows that you queef and like what it sounds like. Like, that would kill me.
Have you ever talked to her about that?
Yeah.
How does she feel? Like, has she been?
She's
you should have her
fine
on the
now.
podcast.
Maybe. No, but she's like too. That's the thing. Is like not everybody has gone into sex like we have, EJ. You know, we're not the run of the mill city kids. But also, so I don't know if we've ever like talked about like the pressure to like become a parent on this podcast, but you wrote an article about like how everyone kind of judged you for becoming a parent.
Oh yeah.
Can we kind of talk about that, because that's an angle that you don't hear a ton.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was partially because I'm a mess, honestly. Like, I think it was partially just like who I am.
You're not ready.
Yeah, I think it was partially that, honestly, when I think about it in retrospect. But it was also, and it was also what was going on in life at the time. Like, I was engaged when I got pregnant to my college boyfriend, and I was 3 or 4 months pregnant when we got married, and I had like a pretty demanding job at the time. So I mean, it was circumstantial, but it was also just the fact that I was 27, and that's considered like a child bride in Manhattan in a lot of ways. Like, it almost like felt like a shotgun wedding, even though it's like totally normal and like kind of old in other parts of the world. Like on the coast, it's like very abnormal to have
I remember at the time being like, EJ's pregnant. And now looking back on it, I'm like, EJ was 27. Like, that's such a normal age.
Yeah, it was a completely normal age. But like, I mean, in New York, it's not considered normal. And in LA to an extent, like it's not considered normal. So it definitely, and it still does. Like, most of my friends are not parents. Like, it still feels like weird, and like I'm dealing with like a very specific set of experiences that like most people my age are not. For sure.
I don't know though. I think everybody kind of feels that way, because a lot of us feel like we're like behind, or like some people have friends who only have kids and like they're like the last one standing. And so it's just really interesting to me whenever somebody is like, oh, it happened too early or it happened too late or whatever. And it's like, did it happen for the right time for you? Because like, I love your kid. I'm so happy he exists.
My kid?
Yeah.
It isn't even like the question of like whether it happened too soon or it happened too late. It's not even, because it happened, you know? It's like it happened, and I've been very open about the fact that like it was complete, like, I guess when he gets older and he asks about this, we'll call him like, and we'll say something cute like, oh, you were an oopsie baby, or something annoying like that. You were like a little oopsie. But yeah, I mean, it was not intentional, and I'm very open about that. But like, I don't know, it happened, and he's here, and I'm so happy that he's here.
And you're a good parent. And
no,
you were
I'm not
ready. Yes,
I'm not
you
a good
are.
parent. No,
Yes, you are.
Parent. I'm a terrible parent. You have no basis to say that. I'm a terrible parent.
I see the singing that he does.
He's very musical. He's crazy. He's absolutely fucking out of his mind. I didn't post this on Instagram because I knew I would get roasted, but he likes to do this thing where he calls President Trump and insults him, and which we did not teach him. Like, we encouraged him to
amazing.
do it. We definitely encouraged him, but like we did not teach him this. He just like did it organically. And at first he would say things like, your belly button smells, or like, you made a big chocolate poop today. And one day he was like, President Trump, your vagina smells. And now he says it all the time, which is great and also awful.
That is insane.
That's amazing.
I did want to also talk about your dominatrix article about the women who made their subs vote for Biden.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have a Trump question for Julia after
sure.
Yeah.
I answer. Well, ask your Dom question first.
Oh, just like how many DOMs are we talking? Like, is this the blue wave? Like, was it?
Amazing.
I mean, look, I can't claim that the sample I spoke with was like representative.
Mhm.
I spoke with like 6 or 7 people.
Mhm.
I don't know. There were sex workers who were not happy with that story. And I got some backlash for it. Because they like didn't think it was sort of like the subversive trend that I depicted it as. I mean, I didn't think I really like portrayed it that way, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was definitely like a thing.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't there some like scandal where like there was an Instagram or TikTok model or girl who was like showing her ass for like, I'll send you a picture of like my ass if you can prove to me that you voted for Biden, and she got in a lot of trouble for that. Isn't that what?
Yeah,
I didn't know
Tana
about that.
Mongeau, because it's considered
Yes,
like
yes, that one.
yeah, it's considered like a form of election fraud.
Yeah, election fraud. It's bribing.
It's not totally legal.
That's
So would that be considered the
insane.
same thing technically? But like
Yeah, it's kind of the same.
You guys, this is the voter fraud they're talking about. Like, it's not unbased.
Yeah, it's not totally without basis, but you know, like, and I talk about that in the story, but like at the same time, like I'm not an election fraud reporter. I'm like a culture
Right.
reporter. Like
Right.
I'm not gonna get into that. Like I don't give a shit.
No, there were girls in 2016 as well who were like using their Tinders to be like, unless you're like voting for Hillary, like we're not going on this date.
Yeah, but that's different because I think she was like asking for proof. Like if you can send me proof that you voted for Biden, then like I'll send a nude.
Okay. EJ,
And there are some states like where you can't do that. Like you can't show your ballot.
I think she got like 20,000 responses.
Can't show your ballot, or you can't show your butthole, or you just can't do both at once.
Can't do both
Can't do both
at
at
once.
once. Yeah.
EJ, what was your Trump question?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Oh yeah. What do you think about like the memification of Tiffany Trump, like having known her?
So I'll preface it by saying that Tiffany and I had a very unique relationship. We've been friends like our entire lives. So when her dad was running, I was like her support system. Like she had a really hard time with that. And obviously. And their relationship, as everyone knows, is not the best father-daughter relationship. So that was a big factor. Tiffany as a person transitioned into someone that I didn't know, and I very quickly, like, she had hurt me in a personal way, and her response was very much like a response that you would expect her father to give to the press. Like, you know what I mean? Very avoidant, lots of excuses. And that was kind of like the end of my relationship with her. So the way that I see the press kind of, for example, the Trump rally in Florida where she did a pride.
Oh my God. I was
When I
dead
tell
for
you-
you on this post.
Because you said you're my close friends, aren't you?
Well, no, you commented on it. You commented publicly on it.
Oh, I did.
And I also publicly commented on it because I'm not friends with her. And I
Right.
like, so do you remember she did that rally for like gay rights and stuff? And she was like, everybody, I love gay people. And so does my dad. And she sounded like
she didn't get the name right. Like, hello, 101 right here. Like, how did you not get the name right?
what? Because she left the T out and LGBTQIA,
which everyone thought was like intentional, which I'll say I don't necessarily think was intentional. I just genuinely think that like she wasn't committed emotionally to what she was doing. Like she thought like, oh, like this is great. And in a way, she kind of called me and my friends out that are gay that have supported her and been friends with her, like allies and whatever, who have been friends with her for all this time, by saying like, oh, like, you know, we know you have gay friends. Like that part of her speech where she was like, we know you have gay friends. How can you support your father? Well, our response to that was, how can you support your father? Like, period, and in general, but also like, basically my answer is, I think they're representing her exactly for who she is.
Wow, really?
I really genuinely believe that. She's unfortunately just like almost like a victim to the whole situation, but she's allowing herself to fall victim because I think
Totally.
She wants
Like that's like
acceptance.
a bit of a choice as well. And yeah, I don't know.
I can't imagine being in her position though. That
I would
being
never
said,
I would never want to be, yeah.
I would never want to either. No. But it's interesting because I still in some way have some fears about showing political views on Instagram or like being open, because it doesn't matter what I say. Like I'll tell you right now, like I wanted Biden to win and I am ecstatic that
Yeah.
thank God this all went this way. But I had people that were very much like attacking me, and I have people that followed me because I was friends with her, and my relationship with her is gone, and it has been gone for many years, and that's just a personal thing. It has nothing to do with her family. It was just a personal thing. I've noticed since I was a kid. But so I had a lot of those people that were following me just based off that relationship. So I was getting attacked for posting things pro Biden, which is, but that world exists. Like those people are out there. They're very much out there, and they're on Instagram, and you know, they're kind of fucking nuts. So when they're watching you, their response is like, it's super aggressive. So, you know, it started scaring me.
Yeah.
And yeah, it really started scaring me. And I pulled back from Instagram a lot, I think, for that reason. I mean, it's really tough. But
I did read something that was like, the Trumps won't be returning to the same social scene in New York that there was before. Do you think
they return to New York? If they have,
right?
I mean, he's ballsy enough, so I'm sure he will. But yeah, no.
The friends, do you think, are not there? The society's not there for them anymore?
I mean, listen, if Tiffany came back and proved, like, you know, I don't know, just showed up as a friend, like that's like really all I ask as a person. I have tons of friends who have political families, and I have tons of friends that have like very important social families. Like it doesn't affect me. Like I think that she thinks that she would just be accepted, and I think that's what she expected. Like and then I think she learned the lesson the hard way. So I think if she were to like try to come back, it would be
not the prettiest picture.
No. And I think she's a small scale representation for the rest of her family. So like for her, just being accepted back into her friend group, a kind of like bigger picture would be like him trying to come back to the city. And I just think it's going to be impossible.
Yeah. Ugh. I mean,
I know. I don't know how we got here, but
it's fine.
I don't know.
But yeah, I think growing up in the city, it's definitely, or any cities like New York, LA, it's different, but it's not that different from the rest of the country. There's still the same struggles of wanting to be accepted, wanting to not do stuff later, wanting to date someone older who's maybe not that good for you, being peer pressured, like, I don't know. I always have to kind of end with COVID because, like, I want everybody to fucking stay home and shit. But, like, I'm sure even in these social circles, like, there's peer pressure to, like, party. And, like, Julia's at an outdoor party right now. Julia, stop partying.
No, I'm in a restaurant.
Okay.
I work in a restaurant. I'm in the office.
Okay.
And there's a 10-person private dinner in a room next door.
Okay.
That's what's
but
happening.
I know people, like, I'm just seeing two halves of Instagram right now. The comics, the working people, and then the people I grew up with in the city who maybe have money. And there is somebody today having a destination wedding in the middle of a pandemic. And I just don't. You stop it, okay?
I know.
Stop hulyaing, everybody.
Please.
It's not, the whole point is so that we can hulya after.
What's hulya?
It's party. Hulya. My grandmother used to say it. Oh, shout out to Nanny.
Finish.
It's her 1-year dead-iversary 2 days ago. Ooh, we love you.
Love you, Nan. I was a big fan of
sorry.
Nan. I actually thought we were doing this in Nan's apartment tonight. So.
Oh, nope. I don't even live there anymore. But, exciting. There's a new life, new baby who's going to be living in there. My brother's going to have a baby in January.
Oh, yes. Congrats.
Yeah, so we'll have like a little Nan life.
Yeah. It's like, what do you call that? There is a Hebrew word for that, the kind of full circle situation.
Beshert? No.
We'll Google it later.
But yeah, you guys, this has been so fun. Oh, wait, there's one more thing, EJ, I have to talk to you about. TikTok stars being turned into porn stars. This is full circle. So Julia was talking about being compared to a porn star. Now there's the thing of TikTok stars are being turned into deep fake porn stars against their wills, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do you prevent that?
Do you want me to like explain what deepfake porn is?
Well, I know what a deep fake is, but yeah.
So deepfake is essentially like using AI technology to kind of like transpose somebody's face onto another person's body. And previously, like deepfake porn for the past couple of years has been a problem with like A-list celebrities.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say who, but like, you know, very top tier celebrities are sort of the victims of this. And recently it's become a thing where the technology is getting like
That's
more
so
accessible.
good of you not to say who.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself right now.
I'm proud of you.
No, I'm kidding. I mean, it's not it's a horribly unethical thing.
I didn't look at Chris. What's his face's penis? Are you proud of me?
Whose penis? Chris
Chris
Evans?
Evans.
He showed his penis?
No, it got leaked.
I am proud of you. Yeah, I would have looked that up.
Thank you.
I'm
Sorry,
good. Did you guys look at Chris Evans' penis?
Yeah. No, well, wait. I saw that only the little image that was.
That's all that there was. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think I had a choice. Like it was sent.
Somebody showed it to you. Yeah. Somebody sent it to you. Sorry, EJ. Go back to deep fakes.
We can't be all ethical paragons like Remy. But
sorry. But I'm not sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm in your shoes. I would have done the same thing had I been aware of this. But so this deepfake pornography is becoming like so accessible, and the technology is becoming so just like easy for everybody to use that people are doing it to like just their friend in high school. Like you can make deepfake of like anybody for like a very small amount of money, and it's also something that's been happening to TikTok creators, who are often like very young girls, are showing up on Pornhub, like in these deepfake videos with their heads transposed on like porn stars' bodies, like participating in all these sex acts. And I talked to the guy who's running this Discord that's making it, and he's pretty like unrepentant about it.
Really?
Yeah, he was just like, I know that a lot of people wouldn't think this was ethical, but essentially, like, I don't care. And and it's only going to become like more of a problem, probably.
Yeah, and what's crazy
how is it legal?
Yeah, how is it legal?
It's the legality varies depending on what country you're in. There are some countries where it's not legal. I think in the United States, and this is something that you probably have to fact check. I think in the United States, it's not legal in a bunch of states. But I mean, the revenge porn laws in general haven't really caught up with technology in this country anyway. So, but it's also like an ethical gray area, right? Because it's not like non-consensual pornography in the typical sense.
Well, I would say it should be illegal no matter what, because ultimately you are stealing that person's likeness, and they could have sold that likeness themselves if they wanted to, because there are porn stars who are getting themselves fully scanned into stuff so that their bodies can be used in all these other videos and stuff that they're not actually doing. That's currency if like your face is attached to that.
Yeah, for sure. There are a lot
like
of
they're taking money from people who could have done it themselves. Not that they would, but also like
that's another thing that like we didn't have to deal with that like the kids today have to deal with.
The kids, I don't know what's wrong. Come on, you're a theater kid.
Of course I know it. I know the reference.
Left fucking singing Bye Bye Birdie myself?
Kids,
why can't they be like we were perfect in every way?
Okay, all right, yeah. Okay, now I remember. You should make that your intro music, please.
Thank you, I will. Also, I do have to give a shout out. EJ and the other gay friends that she referenced, theater kids, earlier in this podcast, are the first people who ever came to support me at a comedy show ever.
Is that true?
Yeah.
That was your first show?
Yeah.
You seem like such a natural.
Or it was my first one doing stand-up.
Wow, I had no idea. It seemed like you'd been doing it for so long. You were great.
Thank you. Yeah, and then I didn't realize that you guys were in the audience, and I came upstairs because at that time I was performing in this like basement of a pub in like Midtown, right? It was like our like 38th and 8th. And I came upstairs and I saw you guys and I was like, oh my God, what are you doing here? And you were like, we're here for the show. And I was like, oh my God, I was just on a show. And then they were like, yeah, no, we were here for your show. And I was like, shut up. And then I think it was Evan or something was like, you were actually good. And I was like, did you come to make fun of me?
We did not come to make fun of you. We did come to support, and I totally honestly, we did come to support you. But after we spent about an hour talking about how surprised we were about how good you were.
Aww.
Yeah, they'll tell you the same thing. Like, we were like, oh, you know,
Wait, was your first show at the Stand?
No.
When was your first show?
In like 2015, I think. Like, yeah. Not when we were hanging out. Julia and I also hung out in comedy clubs.
Yeah, because I remember being
pandemic
at your shows.
times.
But I also feel like it was your earlier shows.
They were early, but they weren't that early.
Because it was when I met Julio, and that was probably like about 5 years ago.
All right, you guys, I've kept you too long, and I appreciate you so much for being here. Thank you for a wonderful recording and for lending your stories. And you guys, please look up all of EJ's articles and look into Julia and follow them and be very nice. EJ, can you tell everybody where they can find you on the internet?
Sure. You can follow me at EJ Dickson, at EJ Dickson, or on rollingstone.com. And it's on like, you can follow me on Instagram if you really want, but like, it's all baby pictures. So don't worry about that.
He's so cute.
Thank you.
We love baby content.
Yes. Julia, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at julia.moshy, Moshy, or for anything like self-care wellness, you can follow at Pretty Anxious blog.
Cool. But I have to ask you both, because this is something I have to ask everyone after a sexual experience. Julia, did you finish?
I finished.
Okay, great. EJ, did you finish?
Many times over.
Yay, you guys. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. This was a blast.
This was awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you guys so much. And we'll see you next time on How Come. Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
It's not you, it's me. I try so hard to finish honestly. They say you'll know when you go all the way from A right down to O. Oh no, I think that I still got a ways to go. Oh, I'm sick of this and I have got to know. How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help, 'cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna just